We all know the prize comes to those who work for it. And if you're not putting boot leather on the outcrop, and you're not taking samples, and you're not drilling, you're not making a discovery.
We're Talking Hidden Treasures, the flagship podcast of Hunting Hidden Treasures, a reality show on stockpulse.com. I'm talking today with a treasure hunter here from Timberline Resources. On the Timberline trades as TBR on the Toronto Venture Exchange, and Timberline is chasing gold in Nevada. And I got Patrick Highsmith here, the CEO, the captain of the ship. So Patrick, I appreciate you being here. You come with a lot of accolades. You've been in the business. You've been in the big companies. I guess I gotta go right back to the start here of what makes Patrick Highsmith, what made him become a treasure hunter?
What made me a treasure hunter? It's a love for the challenge right up front. I mean, there's really not many things in the business or scientific world, for that matter, that are harder than finding gold. And it goes back thousands of years. There's the lore and the legend of gold. We all know it has inherent value. It's attracted us in many forms across many sectors of society. Internationally, of course, some cultures are so well known for gold, their artwork, the store of wealth, and so forth. But gold is money, and obviously that has attraction. But for me, it was the science and the engineering to get to discovery. To some degree, and I've explored for many commodities, a lot of copper, a lot of lithium, for instance. And to some degree, the discovery is there for all of it, that romance and the excitement of discovery and the challenge. But gold is different. The gold deposits are compact. They're actually spatially, they're just kind of small. So in the vast expanse of the Western US, a gold deposit is a tiny little, pin on a map. So it's hard to find gold. And yet, with tenacity and persistence, we make this progress. And the progress is what has a lure for scientists and engineers like myself. We get these small wins along the way. Like we take some rock samples that have gold in them. Or maybe like some of us, like I used to, we were panning in the creeks in our career early on to look for those flakes of gold, those colors that prospectors used to use to search for gold as well. And there again, there's a small thrill, a little speck of gold there. It's not worth very much. You're not going to be able to sell that, but it's a little win. And then you climb out of the creek and you take soil samples and you take rock samples. And then you get your assays back and you see, wow, I found gold in that sample. So you get these little wins along the way to the big win. And that's important because the big wins are pretty darn rare. And the challenge, as I said, is spectacular. But for me anyway, I learned better having failure and challenges to overcome than I would if something were an easy win. So it all wrapped up into those things was the romance and the challenge and the interest in the science. And for me, I'm even nerdier. I'm a geochemist. I'm sort of a specialist of a geologist who looks at the chemistry of the earth to find gold and other metals. And so you get the thrill of looking at that chemistry as you're honing in on where the gold is. So a lot of things wrapped up into that, but it's not too different than what we might call treasure hunting from the days of the pirates and the X on a map sort of thing. Not too different.
Yeah. So a very specialized business. Not many do it. A very small group of people searching these hidden treasures here that you can't see here. I guess I would ask you, Patrick, in being such a specialized business, as you said, what makes a good treasure hunter in your view?
This is a very specialized business, and the ingredients that would go into a successful explorer, a successful treasure hunter. I'm getting a bit of gray hair, and I have my own biases and opinions on that, but I would say technical expertise is huge. We are a multidisciplined field. Geologists even is a broad term. I'm a geochemist by specialty. We have geophysicists that are specialists, and then even within a plain old rock in the box geologist, we have structural geologists and we have stratigraphers and so forth. And in fact, depending on what you're looking for, you may draw from very different areas of that spectrum. So expertise in the core fields that you need to explore the rocks. For instance, in Nevada, we have sedimentary rocks, we have carbonate rocks like limestones and dolomites. We need expertise in that type of rock because we need to understand them in order to locate, hone in on those gold deposits. So expertise, I think, is really key. And when you get to an advanced stage in this career, and if you've got some successes under your belt, you've got some expertise. And I often challenge my team to, find that expertise. What are you expert at, or what do you want to be expert at? Because there's a place for you. And myself included, a lot of us have become hybrids. We act in the business world a lot too. We have to finance these small companies, or we have to raise money with investors. And so you also have got to have folks who understand the capital markets. And then you work closely with an accountant like your CFO. And so really the team dynamic in this treasure hunting that we do, it's spectacular, and it's across disciplines. We have, in more advanced projects, we see safety professionals in these companies, obviously environmental professionals in these companies. And really it starts with the fundamental treasure hunter. And then when we found that treasure, guess what? It's not quite as easy as digging up a treasure chest and sailing off to some king or queen and getting paid for it. It's more about something really complicated like permitting and building a mine in the modern United States of America. So a lot more expertise comes to bear. So that's number one. And I guess I would say another big one is tenacity, persistence. Can folks smash into a brick wall? At least that's what it feels like, over and over, and keep coming back. This is a tough business, as I said, and talk about a needle in a haystack. This is sort of the ultimate. And if you're getting discouraged too easily when your scientific theory didn't quite work out, or you couldn't get money, you couldn't get investors behind your story, if that frustrates you too much, you're probably in the wrong business. And so tenacity, persistence, and really you sort of get into that entrepreneurial spirit, if you want to call that a third element that we look for on the teams I work on, is a geologist or a technical specialist who has that entrepreneurial bent. They want to create a business. They want to create an opportunity for investors. They want to expose themselves to the maximum optionality. Where could this go if we find that treasure over that next hill? That's a great way, by the way, to get the energy to climb that next hill, which is a real challenge in itself. So those are really a lot of the core principles that I think are important. And you'll notice I said team several times. We do get the reputation of being loners and cowboys, and Lord knows we all get out there by ourselves with the rocks, and we really enjoy that. But to pull it off at the scale that we're talking about, a modern gold discovery, that's a team effort. So teamwork kind of weaves all that together.
Yeah, let's get into the business side of this, Patrick. You think a lot of people who might watch this watch Gold Rush, and it's certainly I guess some instant gratification. You already said that kind of floated your boat, got you energized. And visible gold's a good thing in this business, I know that. But yeah, you mentioned the layers, the CFO, the financings, all that. These treasure hunters who might find this intriguing and might want to get involved with a company like yours, Timberline. I guess walk them through the process there. Walk them through how to pay attention and really follow up and I guess keep track of your success. I mean, you can't find and build a gold mine tomorrow, but you could certainly build value in these treasure hunters if they trust a guy like you with your successes and your expertise. They might just come onto some treasure.
This business of treasure hunting and the particular aspect of what we call junior mining companies are an opportunity in and of themselves to participate in the discovery of gold or other precious metals or base metals for that matter. And they're a vehicle really that can expose the everyday investor to the opportunity to be part of that discovery. And so junior mining companies, listed public companies like Timberline Resources, for whom I work, or other junior companies, really do constitute an opportunity for investing and for people to take an important part in the discovery process and treasure hunting. There's more to it than that, because we all can look at major mining companies or any major corporations, and we can value them based on earnings. And we can see that, how it affects their share price. And of course, today it's largely about their guidance for future earnings. And of course, that's a bit of a game. We're always coming out in front of cameras or in their news releases and reporting on what they project to be their production or their earnings for the future quarters and years. And that's a fine way to value a major company. But consider that's already usually a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. And what's the growth potential there? Well, my old boss at Newmont, Pierre Lassonde, wrote a book in 1996 called The Gold Book. And in there, he explained the value premise in exploration and discovery. And there's a chart called The Life Cycle of a Mining Share, where Pierre illustrates that most of the value creation is made when an upstart company, perhaps emerging from nothing, just a few entrepreneurs, makes a discovery. And that ramp up in the valuation is the greatest sort of percentage increase in value. And by the time, if that discovery becomes proven economic, and then there's money raised and it goes into production, well, by then, most of that value has already been created. And those ups and downs are marginal compared to the huge run up from discovery. So participating in discovery, financing in discovery, following the journey towards that discovery, which we can do in fully disclosing and fully audited junior companies. There's a real opportunity there. It's an acquired taste. It's a very risky business, but the returns are the reason that we and others take the risk of founding these companies or investing in these companies. So it's a great way to have a bigger audience for what we do, other than just the several geologists trekking up that hillside, taking samples or drilling holes.
You are right now currently working in Nevada. Quite the place to be. Fraser Institute ranks it very high. A lot of gold been found there. The Carlin deposit comes to mind here, the Carlin discovery, excuse me. Get into why you're in Nevada. What appeals to you there? There's obviously some low-hanging fruit to talk about, but I suspect that there's more to it there. So please get into the lay of the land of Nevada.
Nevada in the Western US is just frankly and very simply one of the best mining jurisdictions in the world. Several things go into that designation, but it produces, for instance, more than 5 million ounces of gold annually. So it is right off the bat the #1 gold producing state. If it were a country, it would be one of the top gold producing nations in the world. So Nevada is well and truly established as a top mining jurisdiction. Where better to go hunt for hidden treasure than a place that we know is endowed with a lot of gold and that is actively producing a lot of gold. Now, that gold production in Nevada is dominated by major corporations, multi-billion-dollar mining houses. Nevada Gold Mines itself, the biggest producer in Nevada, is a joint venture between Barrick and Newmont, two of the biggest gold companies in the world. And they're prolific across the state. Mines literally dotting the highways and byways of Nevada. You can see it. Anyone driving through the state will see that evidence there. But smaller companies operate successfully there. Smaller companies make discoveries there, and mid-tier companies as well. So it's largely federal land, US federal land, which means most of it is locatable under the 1872 Mining Act, under the US law, that allows you to go out and prospect, to stake your name to a claim with the potential for a gold discovery on it. It is that romantic, it is that much of a throwback, and it still happens 20 acres at a time with individual prospectors staking claims. So that happens as well. And somewhere in between that and a mega corporation is what junior miners do. And we tend to put the land positions together that are in prospective rocks, and then we explore, and very often a major discovery will be acquired by a major company and then put into production. Your best prospects for that to happen, you need several things to fall into line. One, you need the geological potential. The gold has to be there. So let's start off in the best gold camp in North America. The Carlin Trend alone, more than 150 million ounces of resources. Depending on what gold price you use, the in-ground value of the Carlin Trend is well over $200 billion worth of gold. Now it costs billions to get it out. So it's a mega industrial activity to do so at that scale. But let's start where there's a lot of gold. And there's at least 3 major trends across Nevada for that type of deposit, Carlin type gold deposits. This is what we look for in Timberline Resources at our Eureka project, for instance, Carlin type gold. So you start there, but what about infrastructure? What if you find the greatest gold deposit, but it's so far from infrastructure, you could never industrialize it? You could never put the capital there to extract the gold, get it to market. So being in Nevada, crisscrossed by highways and power lines and the great infrastructure of the Western US in general, the skilled workforce. We have some of the best, highest paid miners in the world in Nevada. And so again, key ingredient, you have to have that. The operating presence of a mining industry, not to mention an active political arm that supports the miners, the guys who work in the mines and develop these projects. They have politicians elected in Washington who represent them and support their way of life. That's also important. Some countries of the world, you're just simply not allowed to build a major mine. So environmentally responsible development with infrastructure, access to capital, access to workforce, and great geology. So Nevada is, like I said, I've said a lot of words, but you don't need to say very many. Nevada is one of the top mining jurisdictions in the world.
Yeah, well, let's get into Timberline Resources here, working on Nevada here. Very excited, obviously. You laid out all the reasons to be there. You laid out the business side. So people who want to go treasure hunting with Patrick Highsmith and team at Timberline, what you lay out, I think it's all about, at least right now, the flagship. Probably let's start there and get into that. So obviously, good place to be. Please.
Timberline Resources is a junior exploration company, a pure play on gold, focused entirely in Nevada. And we have 3 projects there, but our flagship is the Eureka project near the town of Eureka, Nevada. It's a large property position, over 70 square kilometers of ground there, and it's in a historic mining district, fantastic district. In 1864, lead and zinc ores were discovered there. In fact, the discovery was on Timberline's claims there. So this is a historic district. It started off as a lead, zinc, silver producer, always produced some gold. It peaked between 1870 and 1890. It's the second biggest silver, lead, zinc district in the US. So it was important then and later in the 1980s and 90s, a new discovery was made and gold mining returned to the Eureka district up at the Ruby Hill Archimedes mine just north of us. So it's a district scale play. And what Timberline brings to the table is expertise in Carlin type gold deposits, international expertise in financing and building and managing mining companies, and focusing on that discovery phase, that value creation that comes when we know there's some gold on a project. We've already got a measured and indicated resource of about 500,000 ounces of gold on the Eureka project. So we know there's gold there, but it's that potential for multi-million ounce discovery where that value creation comes in. Laser focused on Nevada, Carlin type deposits in particular, great infrastructure, right outside the town of Eureka, skilled workforce nearby from the tradition of mining in this part of Nevada, and access to geologists and geophysicists and geochemists with international experience for helping us in the discovery efforts at the Eureka project and elsewhere. A couple of other projects further north on the Battle Mountain Eureka Trend. We have a project called the Paiute Joint Venture with Nevada Gold Mines as our partner. And then further west from there, we have a project called Seven Troughs, which is a high-grade vein type epithermal gold deposit in western Nevada. So 3 projects. Most of our attention these days is on the Eureka project, where we've been actively drilling and reporting results over the last couple of years.
Yeah, so let's dig a little deeper into Eureka, Patrick. A lot of science, a lot of innovation since the old boys went at it there a couple hundred years ago. I guess get into maybe current day activities, maybe how the science helps you to obtain goal, and then I guess the third part of that is, what is the goal for those treasure hunters that want to come on board here? Besides buy low, sell high, what's the strategy here for the investor?
The goal of Timberline Resources is a multi-million ounce gold discovery, and to take our investors from a valuation that is an exploration company, a robust exploration company around 30 million Canadian market cap, and to move that markedly up with the discovery of that multi-million ounce gold deposit we believe is there. A good illustration, a good case in point of modern day treasure hunting and science and technology can be made about the Eureka project. This is a historic district. We had about 120,000 ounces of gold mined from here, even in the 1970s and 1980s, fairly modern. Prior to that, the 1870s through 1890s was the heyday of the Eureka district, and some of the projects on our property participated in that cycle as well. So you have to ask yourself, did those old timers find all the gold or all the silver for that matter? And at the Eureka project, if you follow what Timberline's been doing, we've been applying the cutting edge geophysical techniques to help us look a little bit deeper, because what we know at surface is most definitely not all there is to be known about this district. We've drilled into mineralization that was entirely blind from the surface at our water well zone next to the Lookout Mountain resource area. We've drilled there an entirely unknown target just discovered in 2015. We continue to drill that because that mineralization doesn't come to surface. Without the technology to indicate and encourage us to test that target at depth, perhaps never would have been discovered. Up and down along the hills and valleys and mountains of the Eureka project, we've applied geophysics, which allows us to look at the electrical properties of the rock at depth. Sometimes the minerals associated with the gold can be conductive to electricity or chargeable if you put electricity into the ground. And that gives you an indication, not directly of gold, but of another piece of evidence that it might be down there. We've also sampled soils now over tens of square kilometers of this project. And in the soils, the most anomalous things we might be looking for could be things like arsenic and antimony that go with the gold. But maybe the gold is below the surface or more, a few hundred feet away from that sampling site. So we take soil samples to give us a chemical vector into where the gold is. So we've already demonstrated the presence of quite a bit of gold on this project that was not discovered and exploited by the old timers. And some of that comes to surface and some of it is deeper down and blind. So you've got to apply science and technology, and that requires an integrated team. We've got structural geologists, we have consultants helping us with geophysics and geochemistry, and specialists on Carlin type deposits looking at this system. And so applying that modern day science and technology to give us the best possible advantage of putting a new discovery hole into a new gold deposit that just wasn't found by the old timers. And part of that's going to be technology. So it's treasure hunting, but it's treasure hunting with a twist, a modern twist.
Yeah, let's get into modern day here. How's it going right now? Give investors, even shareholders that are interested here, or prospective, anybody, I guess, who wants to treasure hunt with you. Current day activity, how's it going?
Things are going well for Timberline right now. We've actually, in the last 2 years, raised more money than the company has seen in many years. That has revitalized our exploration program. And it's really, I've been proud to be a part of it for about the last 16 months since I came in as CEO. We've had a great turnaround in the company and we've raised a lot more money. And that means we've drilled more footage, more meters, as they say in the metric world. Drilling is key. You just don't find gold without drilling. So what you want to look for, looking at a junior exploration company like Timberline or any other, is are they getting out there and drilling? Because if you're not drilling, you're not finding gold. And that's really the biggest paradigm that's shifted with us. So we've gone out, we've applied some modern geochemistry and geophysics. That gave us the drill targets, and now we're hitting it. We just completed 3 or 4 weeks ago our drill program for 2021 and 2022. And in the first and maybe a bit of the second quarter of this year, we'll be putting out the regular news flow from those results. And that's just key. Investors or enthusiasts for this business, when you follow the news flow, you really need to see, are the guys you're following, are they real treasure hunters? Are they taking the chance, putting the news out, investing those dollars in the ground, not just paying people to sit in offices and have a lifestyle, but to get out there and do the field work that it takes to discover gold deposits? Because we all know the prize comes to those who work for it. And if you're not putting boot leather on the outcrop, and you're not taking samples, and you're not drilling, you're not making a discovery. So we're riding a wave right now, coming off of a second year of robust drilling. And you'll see us get super busy again here in the spring and the summer. We can work year round in Eureka, but a lot of the guts of our work gets done in the spring, summer, and fall. And then if we have to, we drill through the winter, just like we did this year. But a lot of work happens when the snow melts off and we can get out and climb those hills you see in that photo behind me and take the samples and get the drill rig out there.
Okay. Well, I think we touched on a lot here, Patrick, and certainly a lot to pay attention to with your opportunity there, Timberline Resources there in Nevada. So yeah, I guess I'd like to thank you for being a part of this, and anyone who wants to follow Patrick Highsmith and treasure hunt with him, once you lay out all the particulars, they'll need to do so, Patrick.
Yeah, stay tuned to the work that we're doing at Timberline Resources. If you're passionate about treasure hunting and the search for, say, gold in the Western US or elsewhere, Timberline Resources is a good way to learn more. Our website is timberline-resources.com. We are a publicly traded company. We trade on the TSX Venture in Canada under the symbol TBR, and on the OTCQB in the United States as TLRS. We're based right here in the United States. We have a head office in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I'm based in Denver, Colorado. Regular news flow is what we do. We'll keep our investors and followers informed. So check out our website, and you'll see some presentations and some videos out there. And stay tuned here at Stock Pulse as well. We always keep Rob and the team at Stock Pulse involved in what we're doing. So come treasure hunt with us in Nevada, and stay tuned. The results are a lot of fun. You'll see a lot of smiling geologists in those videos.